It's sort of north of light. It's light. Really
There we are.
light.
There we are. Look, there we are now.
I'm just sort of trying to deflect this light. It's reflecting right on my face. It's a bit blinding.
So George, can you hear me now? Yeah, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Cool.
I
can hear you. So look, so you know about addiction as well, didn't you? So, and I was hoping to speak to you a little bit earlier. What you were talking like the other night about addiction. Would you say everybody has got an addiction? Everybody.
Yeah. I think
and that can come in.
I've heard it said that the biggest addiction is thinking.
Thinking.
Yeah. That is it. The biggest addiction is thinking, because it's something that takes us away from what we are, who we are. It's a distraction.
Fair. Okay. I get that. So give me some steps on recovery. So you're quite good at you do a lot of recovery stuff, don't you? So you've helped, or you go through, you've lived and you've recovered.
I've looked at different approaches. I've looked at different things. I'm aware of the 12-step program and things, and I think that's something that's more important for people than like a lot of the stuff that's taught in the education processes. That's for sure. A lot of people, most people seem to be unaware of why they do things, how they live, and yeah, from what I've seen from people that and from experience of working a 12-step program, it's very it brings along an awareness, and second to none in my experience, of why we do the things that we do, and why we act in the way that we act, or think in the way that we think, which gives us an option to change something about it.
So give me an example of that.
Buying things, shopping. That's a good one. Shopping, eating, only wanting to drink at the weekends, but people find they drink in the week. Going on a diet and not sticking to it. So I suppose really it's the conscious things would be the making a decision to do something and not being able to stick to it.
Okay, yeah.
And I suppose the unconscious things is people that buy things anyway, thinking that they just not even question. Some people not even questioning why they buy things. And why that might feel good, even if they can't afford it. Like the debt problem, I think a lot of people buy things they can't afford, and they use reasons to justify it that aren't necessarily the truth. It's like an addiction; it gets out of hand. I think most people would rather not have debt, but for a lot of people, they justify it as a means to something, for betterment, for life, for keeping up with other people. I don't know, all different stuff. I don't really know because I don't really do that.
So, what have you suffered from addiction before? Have you? Or what's your story?
Yes, yeah. And still to a degree. When like recently being under pressure, I found it really hard to just to be able to sit with myself comfortably, and so I find other behaviours like this actually, like little chocolates, little chocolates I've got right now in my hand. Just little things, harmless things, can still be down to, and it doesn't need to cause harm to be an addiction. But recently, over this year, I found it more challenging to just sit in my own space, to sit with me and allowing my thoughts and feelings to be, without the need to change the way I feel or to redirect my attention somewhere else, so to speak. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Because I am very tired. I'm eating to stop myself coughing. I've just coughed myself into a headache a little while ago.
That's not well. So how because you've been like like sober or clean or whatever for a little while, and you've done it. You've had your reasons for doing that. I think so now you've done what you need to do, and you're saying it's difficult for you being in your own space. How do you conquer that? Because that, for me, would be the ideal time then, back in the day for me, when I was feeling that way. I would be like, that'd be the time I'd make the phone call to my Coke dealer, or that'd be the time that I would be like, right, I'm going to go get my cans of beer, and I'm going to start drinking my beer, put the music on, and that's what I would do. And that naturally now, I've thrown myself into work, or I'm helping other people. That's my replacement for replacement. So that's I learned that when I was drinking heavily, self-medicating, when I was going through family course like 10 years ago, and I was self-medicated and that sort of stuff. So I learned then that I throw myself into work, and that would replace it was meant to replace the drinking that I was doing. But now it literally does replace that's my thing. It's like I'll work because that's what I enjoy doing, and it stops me from having to have the need to want to have a drink, if that makes sense. So how are you coping with that? What are you coping? How are you coping with your being like naturally now being with your own self and that sort of stuff? Are you working and that sort of stuff?
Not in the last week and not in the next week, but yeah, I'm doing a bit. I'm working a little, but not a lot. I haven't thrown myself in the deep end, but it is an attractive thing, as a lot of people do. And it's just, and then work can just be enough addiction, or like workaholic, as the common phrase.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But what I try and do, and it's been really hard, but I just try and do the next right thing, which is it can be different every day. Sometimes it's actually connecting with somebody. If my thoughts are on something that you help me with, then I'll call you. If my thoughts are on other stuff, I try and call people that have experience in whatever I'm going through. For that relatability, understanding. I do try and sit with myself, even if it's only for a short amount of time, depending on the intensity of it. And it's mostly feelings based. A lot of my peace comes from understanding that my oh, sorry, hang on, my phone's just gone on to sleep time. I won't change it. Is the camera still normal?
Yeah, it's still here.
Cool. Is recognise, not getting caught up in it as in a sort of default behaviour, or to go and eat something unnecessarily, have another cigarette, have another cup of tea. Not that anything in them are harmful, but instead of that, just actually pausing and recognising that my thinking is creating my discomfort. And
that's deep. So tell me more about that. Tell me more about your thinking. Tell me more about that.
I mean, I can blame everything, all of my discomfort and my unpleasure of a situation that I'm going through, but or situations that I go through. But it's actually my own thinking that creates the displeasure. There are genuine situations that I would prefer not to have, but it's my reaction to them, my interpretation of them, my perception, I suppose, and how I think things should be. You know, if I'm thinking that things should not be this way, then there is a definite angst of something, because something is definitely wrong. But then if things should not be that way, universally, universal law, then they wouldn't be that way, would they?
Well, yeah.
It's a case of like, I'd prefer them not to be that way. I can still be happy anyway. Now, recently that has been really challenging.
Yeah.
Really, really challenging, and really hard. And I don't succeed that at all times. I don't succeed with that at all times. But sitting and being with myself and not frightened of my feelings, because at the end of the day, a feeling is a feeling. That's it. A feeling is a feeling, and a craving is a craving. Neither of them are instructions. A craving is a craving, and I find that if you can respect your craving for what it is, you don't have to take action on that craving. And it's just recognising it for what it is. So that's part of it. But the main thing is, whatever it is that I'm uncomfortable about in my feelings, in my thinking or my feeling, because it took me a while as well to understand what is a feeling. because some people say they feel like this and that, and then go into a logical explanation of a feeling. A feeling is a physical thing. A thinking is with the mind, but I understand the feeling. So if I'm feeling uncomfortable, my mind will create thoughts to match that feeling, and that's when it gets confusing, and that's when I can think that things are not supposed to be how they are, and in an ideal world of my perception, things wouldn't be like that, but they are. And then all I can do is whatever I can do to for betterment, and not hold on to the necessity of a certain result. Like when we go into court, or like we went into court, my happiness can't be dependent on the outcome of that court hearing. It's got to be dependent on me. It's like the weather. If our happiness was dependent upon the weather in England, we'd be like yo-yos, wouldn't we? And we'd be down most of the time. And that's the same kind of thing. What goes on in life outside of us is the weather, and we just have to be happy anyway, as best as we can. But I put the conditions on that. I put the limits on that, because if I have to have things with my family in the right way before I can be happy, then I've just created that. And I'm learning that recently. Actually, I'm learning that part, or I'm relearning that part recently. I've also had to relearn that I'm okay. I'm okay of not being okay.
Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a difficult one. You're uncomfortable. You're comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm okay being an emotional wreck. That's okay, because if I think I should not be emotionally wrecked at some point, then that just adds on to the stuff that I've got to try and deal with. And doesn't help at all. But recognizing, I think if there was a couple of elements. First of all, it's recognizing and accepting that I don't have power over everything. I'm powerless in respect of other people's actions, some of my own thinking, and events that occur externally of me. The only thing that I can really control is my actions, and which thoughts I put energy into that go through my mind. Like what I was saying the other night, I can't stop my thinking, but I can kind of decide if I'm going to allow it to take over I can let negativity take the reins and run with it. I could sit here for 30 seconds thinking along a certain track, and I could be emotionally distraught and overwhelmed, and even in tears very soon. And I can recognise when them thoughts will take me down that road, and I can stop it and put myself back in check. Sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I want to emote, and that's fine. And sometimes it feels like I don't really have a choice, and that's all right. And that's probably why my throat is as bad as it is today. Just being tired, I've been really emotional today, and that's all right. I don't mind. I don't mind, because if I'm to say I shouldn't be like that, I don't want to be like that, then that's like saying, I don't want to be the height that I am.
Exactly that.
So
for me, you've got to allow the freedom of like emotions and stuff. I think you've got to accept that sometimes you're going to be high, and sometimes we're going to be low, and sometimes we're going to be whatever we're going to be. But I think it's about recognizing that, and you've just nailed it, recognizing it and saying we don't have to stay there for a long time. I think it's good to. I think it's really good. I think people need to experience pain. People need to experience hurt to make sure that they can fucking cope with life in itself. To be honest with you, because I think if we don't experience hurt, we're never going to. Kids today are wrapped up in cotton wool. Kids are wrapped up in cotton wool, and I think I think a certain degree of amount of adults are wrapped up in cotton wool, and I think people are ashamed to say that they are fucked. Everyone's fucked. There's a Goggins thing, isn't there? That like everyone's got something going on. Everyone's got something going on. People are better at masking it than others. That's all. And I realised that like a few years ago when literally everyone's got some shit going on. Everyone, even the judge, the vicar, everybody, me, you, David Beckham, everyone's got some shit going on, and it's about literally they've got different ways of masking it, and different financial constraints would mean bigger the problems or lesser the problems. Who knows? But I think accepting them and accepting how we feel, I think it's really a key part of what kept me alive when I was going through, like, even doing it, like, even today, even now in today's world, like doing lives and stuff. And that's a part of me expressing my emotions, expressing me dealing with my stress and whatever. Sometimes I come out and do a live and whatnot. And that's just me releasing the energy, because I need to get on with the rest of my day. Otherwise, I'm going to let it all coop up in my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there were 3 steps we were talking about. Give me 3. Well, those 3. One of those was powerless. Was it being powerless? That's one thing you've got to accept. And what was the other 2?
Yeah. Recognizing that, I can't change. I can only change what I can change, and that's quite limited. But recognizing that I'm powerless over what other family members or ex-family members, or whatever the right phrase may be. Just powerless over other people. We have power to do the right thing within a process, like within the family court processes, and we have power to control our own thinking and our own attitudes or reactions or non-reactions to things. Like the actual stuff that goes on, I'm powerless against that. I found it some of it extremely emotionally upsetting and logically disturbing. But I still have to just accept that is what is happening. Because if I was to dig my heels in and say no and don't accept it, then I can't get anywhere. I can't move forward with it. I can't use the little power or the big power that I have got to change anything, to do anything, or to help anything, because I'll be stuck in a no acceptance kind of way. So recognizing the powerless over that, accepting it, and I think that's one of the first things. I'm powerless over my thinking sometimes in reaction to stuff, but I am powerless. But I have power to decide what thoughts to follow or what thoughts to continue with. Powerless is a massive one, because we're all powerless to a degree, but we all maybe want to be powerful, and we are powerful in other ways. But when it comes to other people's behaviours, things that are happening to our children, things that are being told to our children, we are actually powerless against that stuff. We can't stop that. We can't stop it if it's happened. We can do what we can to increase the chances of it not continuing, but we are powerless over the end result if it's going through a court system. But we're not powerless against what we do about it. And accepting that that's the way it is keeps us, or keeps me, in a better place to do the right thing with the right kind of mind and focus, and keep coming from a loving place rather than a twisted, bent out of shape place.
I think you're right. I think. Well, I don't think I know. Like minimal conflict. I mean, I think we've all got the power. And I say this a lot. I say this all the time. We've all got the power to either be in a conflict or not be in a conflict. We've got a choice to make. You have a choice. You have a choice to either have a conflict or and look at the bad stuff and look at the negative and create something out of nothing, or you got the choice of doing what's right and putting aside the differences, accepting, agreeing to disagree, and doing what's right for the child, and have a minimal conflict. Disagreeing there's nothing wrong with disagreeing, is it? Nothing wrong with disagreeing or falling out or having difference of opinions, but it's about how you get over that and how you deal with that. And I think that's where I struggled massively. 10 years, Lindsay just still doesn't speak to me. And that's a problem in itself. That is a problem in itself, because that gives my daughter the freedom to play us off on each other and do that sort of shit. So I think that's disappointing in itself. But I can't change that. But I think anyone who can have minimal conflict for their children going through this process, keeping the lines of communication open for both, all it can do is support the child. But we don't do it. The majority don't. And that's what makes me laugh. I was saying it a lot. People don't do that. People don't do what logically you'd be like, that's the logical thing to do. But then they don't do it because it's the most difficult thing to do, because you've got so high in emotions and stuff. And that's crazy. Because, I mean, I think you've done really well in terms of you've when I was going through my first, anytime I was self-medicating a lot, and I used that as an excuse to get through stuff. I was working, I was drinking a bottle of vodka at work during the working day with a bottle of Coke, pouring it in, and yeah, it wasn't good. So you do a lot for I doff my cap with how you cope with what you deal with, and remaining sort of sober doing it as well, because it's not the emotions, but then that's where you've had to pull in other experiences, your previous life experiences as well. So you're like a wise owl, aren't you, really? Because you've got
I do like to have a hoot. Huh? I do like to have a hoot. Yeah, if a little while ago, if I had a thought that I would stop taking what I was using for my anxiety, if I, I wouldn't have been able to imagine how I would cope without that, knowing of how things are going to get a bit more complicated and a bit more in depth. I wouldn't have been able to see that, but I have, yeah, and I think, yeah, I've done, and I've not done anything difficult in terms of replacing it, but I have done what I've needed to do, and that's speaking to you at the right times, speaking with other people, and just staying connected. It's very easy, I find, when there's family conflict being created, appearingly by somebody that wants family conflict, or wants to give the appearance of family conflict, as in my case, it's a bit complicated, but a bit strange. It's very easy for me to shut down and to not speak to people, and that just makes things worse. So forcing myself of recent months to actually listen, talk with people, listen to people, and mainly to empathise with other people and other people's situations. I think that's helped. That's helped tremendously. And meditation, stillness, and like consciously being present, and also knowing that my thinking isn't necessarily the right thinking because I'm under duress, and being able to recognise that I don't know the right way makes it easier to listen to other people that have more experience in doing what I'm doing. So if I'm listening more to other people, I'm not stuck in my own groove of thinking and just going round in circles. Yeah, I think that's quite important, and being open-minded. Definitely being open-minded. That's just like, if I wasn't open-minded, then I just would have done things my way, and that wouldn't have been the right way. It would have been what I thought was the right way in the situation. I think I'm going off track here a little bit. Yeah, like I smoke. Is what if I'm singing?
But what?
Is what if I finish my cigarette?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Of course, yeah, could. So yeah. Second.
Is my addiction tobacco?
So we've all got that. That's what I'm saying. So I think I've got a couple of mates who can't start their days unless they have coffee. And I used to be the same. I used to be like rubbish unless I had like I used to get the Starbucks below my shop in Watford, and I used to get like a double espresso. It used to be like a double shot of like espresso stuff, and I'd ask them to fill up like half the cup up with like espresso, and I would then say like put some milk in it so that I'd make it nice and strong. So I'd like 4 lattes in one cup. They used to call it the heart attack. Yeah, they used to have to give me a health warning. They had to give me a health warning every time they served it to me. They had to give me a health warning in case I had a heart attack. I'd have like 3 of those a day, literally, because it would keep me like literally on it. Because but that wasn't really a replacement for anything else. But it was because I needed. I felt like I needed it. But now, I think now I've got my own my own energy that I bring on myself. I'm quite cool with being down or lethargic. Or I'm quite cool with when I'm energetic. It all depends on what mood I'm in. It depends on what how I feel and how I feel my flow's going, if that makes sense. Before, I used to think like I had to be a certain way, I had to be this way, I had to be that way. Now I'm just like, what you see is what you get. If I'm in a good place, I'm in a good place. I'm in a bit of a like quieter place, I'm in a quieter place. I think a lot of people when we go into tricky situations, I think I'll end up talking a lot more and trying to make. I had a good time in a few. I say this a few months ago. It may have been a few months ago, maybe been a few weeks ago, but I don't want to say. I don't want to get in trouble for anything. So, but getting on with the clerks and the people in the court, getting on with them people, yeah, and getting on with people that I think that in my mind, back in the day, I'd be like, these people are a couple of different cloth, yeah. That I wouldn't dare speak to them or wouldn't dare communicate with them because they're like literally, I'm scared of like the cultural differences. I'm like they're really really upper class, whatever, and I'm down here in the middle class, whatever. And I would not speak to them, wouldn't dare say anything to them. Now I literally go out of my way to make sure I try and engage them in conversation, and because they're just like human beings like the rest of us, but they're like can be quite influential. And that's what I like doing, taking myself out of the comfort zone, big time, doing that sort of shit.
Yeah, expanding the comfort zones. Yeah, recently that's where fulfillment and success is outside the comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah. Because you get the same sort of adrenaline rush out of it. You get the same rush out of it that you get out of it's a new experience. The same as when we go through like as a, how old was I? Like what, 10 years ago? So 33. So there's a 33-year-old man married in my house, homeowner, not expecting anything to go wrong, and then going from everything that it was to being homeless and having the clothes on my back and that's it, holding down work. That there is like it's easy then to feel like fucking hell, your world's just been turned upside down, and you can fall off the planet of the earth, and I did, but it takes a certain type of get up and go and keep going to get through it all, and that you know, as an addicted person, as a person with an addictive personality, and probably an addict, if I'm honest about everything, you know, I was going through my marriage, and it is about self-reflection. Like Lindsay would say, I was drinking 4 or 5 cans of beer a day. I was drinking 4 or 5 cans of beer a day, and that's every day for the duration of whenever. And it was like, that wasn't that, you know, if I'm honest, hand on heart, would that be an issue? That was an issue, and that was an issue. So why, you know, I can safely say I've taken that part of that aspect of my life, and I've tried taking the negative that was the marriage as a result of that, and now look, fucking, the other week was during the summer, I bought Lila a little bottle of vodka, and she asked me to buy it for her, and it's still here now. So she's like, back in the day, if I'd had a bottle of vodka lying around, that would have been gone in a day. That would have been polished off in a day, easy. Yeah. Now it just sits there. I mean, I think I bought a bottle of Jack Daniels earlier for Christmas Day tomorrow. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not even going to fucking drink it. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking. I'm like, I've just bought it for the sake of I bought it. I'm like, I need some Jack Daniels and Coke. It's Christmas Day. I need something. I need something to be, yeah. And I literally bought it out of the fact that I thought that I wanted to buy it. And I looked at it. And I'm like,
that's the thinking that I was talking about. That's the thinking, and not a lot of the thinking isn't true, is it?
So now it's just sat there. And I'm like, well, we sat there for fucking 3 months, 4 months, and it'd be like, do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I will have a bit every now and then, but back in the day, it'd be like, polish it all off. It's Christmas Day, get smashed. Now it's like, do you know what? If I have a drink, I have a drink. I don't even think I'll have a drink. I don't even think I'll drink it because it's now what, 10 o'clock, 11, half 11. It's been sat there all afternoon. I've not drunk it, and it's like I've not even thought. You know, so it's like, what a waste of time. What a waste of effort. But then it's never want it. Do you know what I mean?
Tonight, you've reminded me actually. Tonight, I was thinking about going to the pub, and I don't know, because I've only just moved into the area. I don't know where the nearest pub even is. But I was thinking. Well, yeah, I was thinking that was the problem. But I was thinking, I don't want to go home and be on my own. And I didn't know if we were going to get to speak and do this, and I've got things to do still in preparation for tomorrow. But I just didn't want to be, so I thought I'll go down the pub, and I can see myself very, very clearly. See myself going in, getting a Coke or a cup of tea, and just sitting at the bar, content, just being around people, and alcohol didn't come into it at all. I wouldn't have a drink. I wouldn't do that again and again and again. Because like they say, what's that saying? If you sit in the barbers long enough, you'll get your hair cut. So I wouldn't want to stay in bars, but it was just, I just thought that'd be nice, you know. I've done everything that I needed to do earlier. I got stopped again by the police on the way back. Before I left Essex, which is like a nice little goodbye, and had the same chat like I do always. But I recognised one of the police ladies, which was nice as well, and we had a laugh, and then I'm on my way again, and that's when I thought, you know what, I could do with just being around people, but I don't really. What I really need is a refocusing, good conversation, which is like what we have, and then sleep. You know, I need sleep.
Sleep's important, man. Sleep's important.
And yeah, I mean, earlier on, I sat down. I don't even remember finishing off my dinner, and I fell asleep. I'm just exhausted. But I've you know, I've done, as you know, I've jumped through the hoops. I've done everything that I've needed to do, and more so because I didn't need to finish with the other property. But I've done that, and yeah. So I don't, you know. So I don't know why I was thinking of going to the pub. I like just to be around people. I try if I have a craving for something, and that may have been just because I don't really want to be on my own. I don't want to be around drunk people. But I didn't want to be.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be. You don't like drunk people.
No, not when I'm worn down. Not when I'm not worn down, but tired. Depends what kind of drunk people they are. I've had a lot of bad experience around drunk people. So I prefer not to be, like, you know, just to literally. I like people watching, so I think that was most of it, and just to be around, and it's a new area for me. So just to explore maybe.
So that's what I like about walking. Well, I hated that when I moved to Swanley actually because there's fuck all here. But I think I do like exploring. I do like finding new places that I've not been to before. Yeah, that's why I like visiting whenever I'm out traveling around or whatever. I like seeing like new places and shit. So are you going to be going out tomorrow? Do you think like visiting, trying to get lost and trying to get found again?
No, I'm actually driving back to Essex again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to my mum's. And there's a recovery meeting going on. I think sometime in the morning or maybe all day because it's Christmas Day. And there'll be a few people I know there from the past and of recent. So that might be nice. But also,
are you doing that to me? Are you doing that tomorrow as well, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Depends on what time I wake up. I'll probably still set an alarm, but tomorrow will be the first day that I don't actually have to for a long time. So, but I probably still will set an alarm anyway, just in case. I don't want to sleep in and waste the day. I'd rather spend the day around with my mum and stepdad, my brother, and there's other people coming around as well. So I don't mind not going over to the recovery meeting, but I don't know what time my mum's doing dinner. I don't know what time, if she's got a preference of when I get round and stuff like that. So I don't mind. But also I've got stuff to do here because I went to do some washing the other day because someone plumbed my washing machine in for me. And I thought, I'll just check the washing machine. It's plumbed in and the waste pipe wasn't connected. So I looked at it and I thought, surely that's got to have something round it. And I put something in my bag earlier and I was looking for it. I can't find it. So now my washing's piled up. So I don't want to put it on unless I can actually manage it because I don't want it coming off. So there's little bits to do here that make my life more comfortable. And the more I do that make my life more comfortable, and the more things I do to make myself feel better about myself without having any negative consequences or raising concerns or anything like that for myself.
You're loving yourself. You're loving yourself.
Then it's an act of self-love, and that's a major part of it. as well. I think if I stop and think about how I'm managing to still be centered, come from a loving place, um, and not to react how it feels like people are trying to, or certain people are trying to get me to, trying to provoke me to react, like I would have done in the past. I'm constantly astounded when I think about how well I'm doing, because I'm living how I want to live. I want to be able to be. I want to come from a loving place, even if somebody's shouting in my face or if they're covertly abusing me. And I'm managing to do that now. And I'm managing to do that now without any external, not help, like without any external stuff. Like, I'm not like we're talking about alcohol, well, nicotine. That is one thing. Is nicotine. Like there's been quite a few days where I had put patches on, and I'll be returning to that. That may even be my Christmas present for myself to put a patch on instead, and give my throat a break. But yeah, I'm astounded at what I've achieved, and I haven't done. I say there's nothing external. I haven't done it on my own. No man's an island. I've not done it on my own. In respect of the move in of the property, that was with the help of the people that helped me. And this is coming on to the second part. You asked about the three points that we talked about.
Yeah.
The other night. First one was powerlessness. The second thing is something more powerful than me. I think in the STEP program, I can't remember the wording of it, but basically, I couldn't do all what I've done without other people helping me lift stuff, move stuff. A power greater than myself, and that was asking other people for help, and accepting help when it's offered, and when other people that are helping me then ask me if they can get more help. And that's been tremendous, and at both ends, at the loading up, at the unloading, and that is, I wouldn't have been able to do it without that help. And with things like things that I'm not sure about, things that can spin me out, things that throw me when I feel really emotionally under it, which I know that emotions really can distort my perceptions and distort my perception of what is the right thing to do for the greater good. And that's when I've phoned you. If it's stuff to do with my family situation. So it's something more powerful than myself, because in myself I've only got what I've got, and I don't mean like a god or a spirit or stuff like that. I mean a physical, like my phone. My phone is more powerful than me because it can connect me to all kinds of people and find all kinds of answers in person and through the internet and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the second one of the second principles of the steps. I'd be able to speak more clearly if I slept well.
What we should do. What we should do is, because it's getting 11:30. What we should do is we should let you get some sleep. We should let you get some sleep and get some rest. Because 40 minutes is good, and then I will put this on YouTube and whatever we'll do what I do with it. But then we'll do some more either tomorrow or sometime during the week or whatever. We'll talk more about it, because for me it's like a fascinating subject and topic, and we can have like other people join us and whatever, because not everyone will agree with. I think you're quite spiritual. I think I agree with quite a lot of what you're saying, because I've been through it or live it, or we're on the same page. So it's like a lot of what you do, and I think a lot of people forget this as well when they're going through a lot of tricky times, is like how well they are doing actually just getting through it in the first place, just getting through. Like literally, I was flicking through Facebook earlier, and the amount of people that have got their kids and they're all happy, and it's some of them, it's their first Christmases without their kids, but then they've got their kids and they're making it the best out of a really tricky situation, and I think that's really beautiful. And I think all that stuff takes courage and takes. It's not easy. It's not easy for anyone to do. It's making especially when you think about what your normal was and what you're used to, and then versus what you have to live with, and when the whole thing is set up, and it is all set up to, and the law is instinctively set up to support women and children. And I think that's something that people fail to recognise or understand is because in the old world of the old world, men are the stronger, more dominant sex and species. So the whole thing is set up. The whole law rules are set up around protecting women and children. And in some aspects, based on 8 days gone by, but history, that's what they needed. And that's what they need. Now you've got a society that lives and treating people equally and fairly, regardless of gender. And because of that's because of the laws that are in place to protect the situation, the vulnerable women. But unfortunately, it gets put on all women.
Unfortunately, yeah, and I think unfortunately that then gets abused by the women that know how to or have hired help to actually abuse that system and make it more severe unnecessarily for the fathers.
So much more than anyone could begin to imagine.
And that's the bit where that's the bit that gets me down a little bit at times, and that's what it's like a very intense sadness, and that's what distorts my emotions, and I'm aware of that, and my brain tries to find logic to understand it, and I found it very, very difficult to keep centered, and I haven't had to keep centered. When I remember I don't have to stay centered, I've just got to do the next right thing. That makes it a lot easier, and just knowing that there's other people out there that are going through the same thing and experiencing the same stuff, and also feeling like they're the only person in the world that it's so unjust for. That has helped massively, because I know I'm not the only person.
Yeah.
I know there are people with a lot worse situations than mine, but just getting that kind of connection or hearing about other people has been of a tremendous benefit to me. So when we come back to it, if we talk more focused on that aspect of it, I think that'd be quite good, because that's been essential for me. That has been essential for me, and you've been a massive link to that, telling me the experiences of other people's stuff, and that gives me something to relate to.
Sure.
Because in the normal world, I say the normal world out there, if I talk to people, basically I kind of hear the same thing. They'll know the truth in the end, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't make any difference. That doesn't make any difference, because it's the loss of time now, and it's the experience. It's going through it, isn't it? It's going through the experience now, and I know that if I was completely on my own with it, I could possibly go very self-destructive, because emotions can do that to people, and I haven't at all. In fact, I've gone the opposite way, and I've become a much better person, a much stronger person, because of it. So talking about that, I think would be a very good thing to reinforce it for myself and share that information with other people. I don't feel I've got any information, but I've got my experience, and I don't even know if there's much to talk about. But
there's loads to talk about. As long as we're being careful, we're not relating anything directly to anyone's cases or anything like that at all. I'm more talking about my case. We're not going to be talking about yours. I think that's all that matters, and how you've coped with how we cope with turning the negatives into positives is something that really is, I think we need to definitely talk about, because it's very easy when you've got all that people saying negative stuff about you. You've got negative reports. You've got negative people who have negative perceptions of you. It's very easy for you individually. I've been there, to feel negative about yourself and not to see all the positive things that you are. And I think that's something that that we need to talk more about as well, because there's so many people out there that will just see the negative because all they're living is a negative.
Yeah, and it's easy to get into that, and then I think we just put more energy into it. Whereas we just need to, keep focused and do what we can to keep focused on the possibility of positive, and envision it and seeing it, and being grateful for it as well, and trying to stay grateful. That's a very good. I think that's a very good one. Staying grateful for what there still is, and what they still can be.
That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. People, we don't. We're not grateful. Not a lot of people are grateful for the bad stuff that they're going through, for the pain that they're feeling, for the heartache they're going through. That's a gift. It's a gift, and I think that for me is again, it's easy. It's a mindset. It's easy to see the negative shit coming. Why is it happening to me? I now look at all the challenges stuff and be like, I'm grateful because I'm going to be wiser. I'm going to learn something from the back of it, which means I'm going to pass something on to somebody else.
Yeah,
I think that's huge thing to talk about. To continually be grateful. Massively. I'm going to shoot because we're going to keep. Me and you will keep talking otherwise. I'm going to press end broadcast. Yeah. So I'll speak to everyone soon. I'll speak to you later.
bye. Catch you later.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.